Alright, so in this video I'm going to try to recrystallize this lye that was made from ashes from the fireplace. I made a video about that in the refining with nitric acid series I'm doing, and I'm still waiting on like store-bought lye to show up. The hardware store doesn't have it. I didn't see it at Walmart. I checked around. I had to order it, and it's delayed in shipping, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but should get that hopefully this week. Should have had it a couple days ago actually, but we'll see if it'll show up soon. But anyway, we're going to do some of the refining of that silver chloride there with the homemade lye versus the other lye and see what's going on. This video is not going to be put in that playlist because on that last video, some people in the comments said maybe try recrystallizing the lye to see if it gets purer, because lye should be white, and that is not white. You know, there's some elements that are more white than others, or I should say pieces that are more white in their appearance than others, but it should be snow white. So there's impurities, and we're going to see if recrystallizing it will work. So I've got my very little hammer here that I am using to smash this up into smaller pieces, and this I use just for stamping ingots or, you know, pieces I pour, stamping the ounces or whatever on it. So I'm going to smash all that up, transfer it to this container. Got warm water there. Probably won't need this glass rod, but just in case I need to push something, you know, that gunks up on the side of the beaker or whatever, I have that I can use. We'll be using this little heater magnetic stirrer. You can see my stirrer in there, and there's a magnet that will spin it. So I'll be using that to get the lye over there into solution. I'll be using the heat, of course. I'll turn the temperature all the way up. And then I will also have this probably just spinning full speed. And then once it's dissolved in there, I'll pour it through I'll get some filter papers here, and I'll pour it through a filter into that container and then let it cool, and hopefully what should happen is the lye should crystallize, and it should be more pure because of the process that it will come out of solution. So you're using heat and motion, and then it'll be calm and cool to bring it out of solution. So you want as little water mixing with this as possible so that it's just barely being held in solution at a warm temperature and with motion. So when you kill the motion and it cools down, it comes out of solution. That's the idea. And that'll cause pure crystals to form from this lye, and I'll hopefully have a pure lye. The method I'm using that I researched said that it would produce 98% plus purity of lye. So we're going to see how that works out. Hopefully, step number one, I'll be able to actually get this into solution. It won't just sit in the water and do nothing. That would be a catastrophe. So we'll see what happens here. So I'm going to start out with about 300, or no, not 300, about 150, I think, milliliters in there. Yeah, not 300, but about 150. Go ahead and get this going. I got the heat on. And, whoops, hang on a second, my knob started coming loose on here. Okay, I think it's back to the way it should be. So let that warm up and spin as I prepare the lye to go in there. Okay, well, I think that's starting to get warm. A little condensation forming there. Warming up, spinning good. This is the pounded up wood ash lye that was created, and there might be a little left in there to scrape out, but it's just a little bit. And we're going to add that in now to this warm water. Don't want to put it all in at once. Oops. All right, that should be. And look how nasty that is. That is so dirty. Oh, it's terrible. I don't even know. I don't know that all that stuff's gonna go into solution But that's why we do science experiments, to see what happens. I got a lot more to go in. But like I said, you want it to be very saturated, not too much water, so you get your crystals. Perhaps all the other stuff that's in there with it will stay in solution, and just the lye will crystallize. I don't know. We'll see. I might get to the end of this and just have a nasty mess like that, and it won't crystallize nothing, and I'll have to just evaporate the water back out and end up with what I started with. But at least then we'll know that this method doesn't work for wood ash lye. So I'm going to keep adding this in. It does look like it's dissolving a little bit better, but I still see chunks flying around. So I'll slow it, turn the spinner off so we can see exactly what's going on here. Well, actually, I mean, I dumped quite a bit of stuff in there. I got a lot more to go, but it looks like a decent amount went into solution. And the stuff that's left doesn't look very white at all, except it actually looks pretty dark next to that white mixer. Actually, it helps contrast. So the lye should be white. I don't see any white stuff down here. Camera's not focusing, sorry about that, but I don't see white down here, which makes me think that the lye went into solution. Now, if only we can get it to crystallize out of solution. That'll be the trick. Well, I added some more in, and it actually knocked my spinner loose because all these little like rocks in there. So hopefully those will dissolve up. I still have more to go. I did put that lid on there, of course. I didn't do that when I was recording before, but just wanted to show that you do want to cover it up, because that stuff can splash around, which is what it was doing. That's what reminded me to get that lid on there, because it will splash around in this. If I had a beaker about this size but a lot taller, that would probably be better. But anyway, this is what we're working with here. So got to stay warm. It's 20 below outside today, so I got a little supplemental heat coming in here. Okay, well, I want to show you guys how I'm doing this, in case you do something like this yourself. I was taking the lid off, you know, and then pouring in, but that can cause splashing. It can cause that spinner to get knocked off kilter with the magnets here. So I don't think it's hurting anything to just shut the spinner off, or I should say the stirrer, the magnetic stirrer, just shut that off. Gives me a chance to see how the solution is coming about. And I see, you know, there's some little rocks and stuff. Pretty muddy. I might have to run this through a couple of filters to get it how I want it to be, and then we'll see what the yield is. Might not be much lye by the time you get all the other contaminants out. But anyway, I just I do take that off, pour this stuff in here like so. I might be able to do it all. Let's see. Look like most of it. I will try to rinse the remaining little bit out of there, and then replace the lid so you don't have splashing, and then just gradually turn it up. See all these little rocks and things? When you're pouring that in, that knocks the stir, you know, out of sequence with the magnets, I guess. So it's just best to do that and then gradually turn up. All right, and that's all the way. We'll give that a minute to put everything into solution. All right, well, we got that all cleaned out and squirted the remainder out. I was able to scrape a little bit more from the pot it was originally in. So this is everything now, mixing in to solution, hopefully. And just look how nasty that is. Good grief, it looks worse than the crystals did before we dissolved them up. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of results we get. Hopefully we can get some nice clean crystals from this. All right, well, you can see steam going up there, nice and steamy and warm. It's kind of a clean layer, a dirty layer, and then there's some sediment here at the bottom of this thing. You can see that, and then the murky stuff and a little bit clear stuff. Not sure what we're gonna wind up with from that, but we'll see if some of that sediment will go into solution maybe. What I'll do is just let this spin a little bit more. There it goes. Get the lid back on here. I'll give it a few minutes, see if it helps. Might not do anything extra, but we'll see. Then we'll start going through here, through this funnel paper. It might be too fine. I might have to do a coffee filter first, and then these filters that I like to use, medium flow, they say, and they're oops, there, quadrant folded, so they're in this little like triangle shape, but then it folds out, you know, bigger. And anyway, we'll see if that filter is too fine. I have to use a coffee filter and then switch to that. Well, as I feared, it's just clogging that filter up right away. I mean, it's going down. You can see where it started. You can see where it's at with that line. But I'll probably let this drip, drip, drip down into here. Still dirty. But I'll let that all drip down into there while I continue heating and mixing this. Then I'll probably do a coffee filter for the rest of it. And then I will filter once again through one of these filters. Okay, the coffee filter is working much better. I had a steady flow, and then it went to these drops, which are still quicker than what I was getting before. If you get down here, you can see, you know, it's dirty, but it's all liquid. And still mixing some stuff up. It's a lower stir setting because now, if I turn it all the way, there's not enough liquid and there's too much like little rocks and stuff in there. It's throwing the spinner off, so got that, but I still have high heat. And we're gonna run all this through this filter into here. I'll rinse that, and then I will run this through one of these smaller filters into here, or back into here, and we'll heat it all up and then let it cool down and see if we get some crystals. So I've emptied everything here now. It's draining slowly but surely, so I'll leave this for a while, and then yeah, like I said, we'll filter and filter. I gotta go rinse that other beaker out before I continue on. Okay, so transferring from that beaker back into our original beaker that I rinsed out through a finer filter. Looks like it's coming out just as dirty as that, but we'll go ahead and continue on filtering it this way. Then we'll heat that up and see after we heat it up and get some of that water evaporating out of there. If letting it cool will produce what we're looking for. Nice white crystals. All right, something I just noticed. Not sure if that's what we're trying to get or not, but that's white down there settling into the bottom. This was all liquid, of course. You saw how I did it. But now there is some white solid forming on the bottom of this beaker. So something's coming out of solution. That's encouraging to see. So I'm gonna set it on here and get the heat going on that beaker, and I'll get the stirrer back in there as well to see if we can get that white stuff back into solution here, and then we'll let it come out of solution over here. All right, well, it all filtered through there and quit dripping out. So that's what we've got. And that one's forming the white stuff on the bottom already too, like my other beaker did. So that's promising, but I'm gonna heat it up and just to get rid of some moisture. I think I got too much water in there. I'm surprised. I thought I might have to add more water, but what I had in there initially ended up being too much. So I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up. Right there, you see that little crystal kind of forming? And there's other ones. The lighting's not the best in this little room, but that crystal looks like what we want. That might be lye crystal forming. because it's clear, and if it was bigger, it'd probably be white. So if it's coming out of solution there on the paper, hopefully I get some of this moisture out of here, and we will have lye crystal forming in this beaker. That's the goal. All right, well, it looks like it's boiled a lot of that moisture off. The line is lower, and I can see something forming. Let me get a hold of this here. See something forming on the surface and then down there. Whether it's lye crystals or not, I can't say. But it's to the point where I am going to let this set overnight because it's steaming hot. I'm going to remove it from heat and let it set up overnight. Maybe I'll let it steam out so there's less moisture there. And then we'll see tomorrow morning if it's crystallizing or if there's still a lot of liquid here and I need to let it burn a little longer. But you can see little crystals formed in that paper like we were looking at before. So that is an encouraging sign. We'll see what happens as this cools. All right, well, checking again this morning, there's a lot more crystals that formed there. So I must be doing something right. But here, still a lot of liquid. I see some kind of crystallization down there. Still looks pretty dirty, but some kind of crystals. So I guess I'll heat this up and let it burn off some more moisture from there and see if we can't finally get this thing down to just some crystal. So we may have lye crystals there in the paper. So I'll try to salvage that. I did get this in today. So this is the 100% lye here. And I'll show you some of that so you can see the actual lye. If you don't know, I mean, it's supposed to be very white. You can kind of see it coming in there. So that's what you want. And even these crystals are kind of whitish, but still not like the pure stuff here. And trying to mix that up. Looks like the water level is pretty low as far as boiling that out, so should have a finished result soon. Okay, well, here is the finished product. Trying to get it with the lights good. Not white crystals, as you can see. Something, it's just not pure crystals at all. Like some of them are white, but some of it's still dirty. And it didn't create crystals, you know, like it should be long, thin crystals. It's almost like it just made this powder. So something didn't go right. I'm not sure if I didn't get it out of the, when I was working with the ashes here, if something went wrong making the live water, which was boiled down. But I definitely have a very low yield, lower than I thought I would have. And that's it. So I'm still going to use this because perhaps there's lye mixed in there with other things that can cause the silver to refine. But as some of you may know, when we put this with lye, which this is the pure stuff I'll use for the majority of that batch, it turns black, jet black. That's already kind of dirty, this stuff here. And so I guess it's not black, of course, but we'll be looking for it to go from white to dirty to black. And I'll probably just put a spoonful or something in here with this because I want most of that silver to be processed with the pure lye, which I was hoping to make here, but as you can see, that's not pure lye. So as Julius Sumner Miller used to say, the experiment has not failed. People might say the experiment has failed, but it is I who have failed to meet the requirements of nature. So that'll conclude this video. The next one up should be in that nitric refining series, where we'll use this to refine some silver, and we will use this to refine the majority of the silver, and we'll compare the purities using a center of gravity test. I believe that's what it's called, where you suspend it in water on a string, and you do the weight and you divide, and it lets you know how pure your silver is. That's the test we're going to do to see if it's just as pure with this as it is with the wood ash lye. That's what we'll see by the time we're all done with these experiments. But that's going to be it for this recrystallization video.